Hey guys, and welcome to a battle between Papa Palpatine and the Warriors of Chaos up against Zack B. Sane and the Norscan Horde. Should be a good, fun battle of the two evil forces clashing together. And if by the end of the video you do enjoy the content, feel free to subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content. Anyway guys, here let's check out the builds. It's a rather interesting build from both sides. So for the forces of Chaos, we do have Chaos Marauders dotted along the front line. Cheap, cheerful, will be able to tear apart, or at least hold the line up against Norscan Marauders, who are slightly better actually. So tear apart may be a bit of a big word, but at the same time, they're relatively cheap. They're there to hold the line and allow the other elements of the build to really punish the Norscan forces. We do have some Chaos Warhounds who are dotted up a little bit in a vanguard, no doubt looking for Marauder Horse Masters from the Norscans. And it looks like in the centre pocket we do have a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth as well as a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire. Papa Palpatine is a very good player with these Sorcerer Lords. I don't see too many people take them, but with the Burning Head as well as Flaming Sword of Rune on him, he should certainly be able to carry his weight in gold. Burning Head in particular does devastating damage up against the Norscans. We have a little bit of a cavalry corps here in a tiny bit of a kind of deep reserve, although it's still relatively close to the front line. We do have double Chaos Knights with Lances. It's going to be fantastic at charging in, cycle charging down the Norscan forces. A good counter to the infantry that they can bring to the field. We also have the Regiment of Renowned Chaos Warriors, the Mirror Guard here, in a centre pocket who should be able to do some decent work and help chew through Marauders. We have a ton of Horse Masters dotted around as well, which are going to be pretty pivotal in taking down the large threats and assisting that Dragon Ogre Shaggoth up against Wulfric and any mammoths that do emerge from the battlefield. So fun build all round. For the Norscan forces, we have Marauder Ice Wolf Chariots, units I don't get to see terribly often at all, so very excited to see these guys in action. We'll actually pause the battle now because it looks like it's going to get underway rather quickly. Marauder Ice Wolf Chariots do indeed have Frostbite, so they slow down whatever they catch by 36%, and they should be able to break in. I'm very interested to see how these guys perform and how Zack B. Sane does indeed use them. Over hidden in the trees, we do have double Norscan Warhounds as well. And for the front line, it is Marauders in return. So we're going to have some Marauders or Marauder action. However, it looks like there is some champions mixed in here as well. 2 units of the bad to the bones elite of the Norscan Viking forces. And they look incredibly cool and fearsome. And they will easily munch apart the Marauders of the enemy and be able to hold the line at least for a while up against the Mirror Guard. However, those Lancers will be aiming for them, I have no doubt. We have Familiar Warriors with great weapons too, as it seems, which are pretty good at taking down large threats. And we also have Wulfric the Wanderer, of course, coming in with Seafang, Hunter of Champions, and Stand or Die. So pretty fun build, certainly a blitz build coming in, which is one of the problems I find with Norsca. You basically have to play in a maybe 1 or 2 styles of play, but for the majority it is basically going to be a blitz almost all the time. We also have a Pendulum and Enfeebling Foe equipped here on a Famir Balefiend. So in come the Ice Wolf Chariots, pinned in by Chaos Warhounds, but they did pretty decent damage all round to them. It looks like the second unit is coming in as well, going to force those Warhounds back early on. The Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is moving forward to counter-attack here. The Ice Wolf Chariot's simply going to dart away and hop on top of some Chaos Marauders, getting some pretty decent damage straight out the gate. I'm impressed early on. Not too many kills yet, but it looks like both armies are going to clash together. And by those Chariots pushing in, it has actually broken up the Chaos Advance a little bit. The Famir Warriors are now going to be hammering down Mirror Guard. A really nice catch there for the Norscans, going to be assisting these Marauders. And over on the flanks, the Chaos Marauders are getting absolutely dumpstered here by Champions as well as Ice Wolf Chariots. So heavy loss early on from the Chaos, but a lovely Burning Head could instantly turn this around as Marauder Champions do get roasted, as well as some Marauders. You can see the huge damage it does to those guys. It's really nice cast. Have a Pendulum has come in retaliation on both of the Knights of the Blazing Sun, who did have the Flaming Sword popped on them. Wulfric simply comes in, laughs his giant trumpet here, and the Chaos Knights are forced to fall back, but they have managed to catch the Marauder Ice Wolf Chariots, and there is certainly a hope here for Chaos that if they can shut down the fast mobile elements of the Norscan forces, with so many Horse Masters alive and active with huge amounts of ammunition, they can certainly kite this game to victory. Seafang does come in, and it does manage to break off some Chaos Knights, and the Chaos Knights unfortunately have been countered pretty hard here. Dragon Ogre Shaggoth has popped in, to try and shut down these chariots, doing some massive damage here. As a big swinging arc comes in, doesn't quite cleave one of the chariots down, but they are terrified from the mighty beast, and I certainly do not blame them. So Norsca certainly in the driving seat at the moment. Horsemasters have been launched into combat. Honestly, not the worst idea. They have pretty decent melee stats, at least for skirmish cavalry. And they're going to get in, do some pretty good shock damage before falling back and throwing in those pesky javelins. Up on the high ground, we see Chaos Marauders trying their best up against the Norscans. They do currently have the numbers advantage, but despite this, they are going down pretty quickly. We have more Chaos Marauders return to the field as well. Looks like the Mirror Guard did stand their ground, which is a bit unfortunate for them, because all their backup did disappear, and they have kind of been put in their place here. But it looks like the Chaos are going to be falling back now to the skirmish phase, which should do them pretty well. Famir Warriors and Wolfric are going to be key targets here. And it looks like we do have another Burning Head coming down on top of these Marauders, catching quite a few of them in the mix here. You can see their health dropping relatively rapidly. It won't do too much damage to the Famir and the Ice Wolf chariots, but still any damage is damage. Up to only 12 kills, but huge HP all round. Norscan Warhounds are being crumped here, and this is some really nice play by the Warriors of Chaos. When the Hounds do catch up to your Horsemasters, simply turn around and engage. You outnumber them heavily and do some pretty nice shock damage. You see a pendulum up on the high ground as there's a resurgence from the Warriors of Chaos. All their troops actually came back to the main fray and weren't chased off here. And it looks like the Knights getting back in the action, crumping down some Marauders. And the Balefin Shadows as well as the Ice Wolf Chariots are a little isolated here. Looks like javelins are being thrown into Wolfric as well as the Famir. Famir probably going to be the main threat here overall. Wolfric is going to be pretty tricky to bring down though, and he's going to probably have to be left to last. There's no real way to assassinate him with what remains of the Chaos forces. We're going to shag off, having a fun time with some Marauders, and looks like we're going to get another Burning Head coming down the line as well. Probably catching 2 units here if these champions do not retreat. Oh, this is some nasty stuff. Huge damage coming down the line. Luckily for those champions, the Burning Head actually does a little bit of a wiggle animation where it won't necessarily go in a complete straight line, and it doesn't quite catch them fully on, but still, a load of cav coming into the mix. The Dragon Shaggoth has been hit by an enfeebling foe here, and is surrounded by Famir Warriors. He certainly wants to escape. It looks like the Chaos Warhounds have been chucked in a desperate attempt to allow him to fall back there. And over here on the left side of the battle, it looks like the Chaos Knights have finally been put to bed. Really nice diligent play coming by the Norscans, using these Warhounds to chase them off from the battlefield, as it looks like they were caught by Famir as well as Wolfric the Wanderer. Balance power still in the Norscan favour. There are some Warhounds that need to come back from the Chaos. Can certainly be used to chase down these Marauders and try to rally some of their own troops here. As the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth tries his best to hunt down as many units as possible. Marauder champions up to 55 kills, certainly no slouches, but the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth should be able to finish them off relatively comfortably. Javelins are being used here to hunt down the Marauder Ice Wolf chariots, although I think they need to save as much ammunition as possible for the Famir in this situation. Chaos Warhounds are going to be darting in as well. Now looks like they're just dancing around waiting for key targets, and the Chaos Forces are going to be pulling away here. Chaos Source Lord of Fire is darting backwards. Arcane Conduit has been popped, and it's going to be interesting to see. Oh, another Burning Head coming in. It's just about going to catch these troops. Nice little juke there by the champions. And the Burning Heads have kind of been a bit hit and miss so far. Some doing really good damage, and some being a little bit kind of less pungent, but still, they've all hit at least some targets. Warrior champions are being swarmed here by Horse Masters, and this is one of the problems I find playing at Norsca myself. I've actually tried to get a little bit better at them recently, is that most games tend to go the same way. You go in there, you punch your enemy really hard in the face, and do a ton of damage. But your troops slowly get whittled down, you don't have the best armour, and it kind of becomes a bit of a moving blob force, where the Norscans, if they have any hope of winning, will kind of pull together to a central location and walk around as a big old blob of death, which does of course allow kiting to come into play. But it's not really a huge problem for Norsca, but I just think most of their games do go the same way. I think they do suffer a little bit from early DLC syndrome, much like the Wood Elves. They only have realistically 1 to 2 ways of playing, and I think they need to get a little bit of love. But still, very good play so far from them. They're definitely in the ascendancy here. We see a lovely pendulum coming in as well, punishing those Mordor Horse Masters. We're going to fast forward here a little bit, as it looks like the skirmish is going to go on for a while. Famir Warriors have been isolated here. And as you can see, this is what I'm talking about. The Norsca forces have kind of had to centralise themselves for the most part. We have hounds darting around, but they're simply going to get surrounded and beat down by good management, though, from the Warriors of Chaos here. Chaos Sorcerer Lord is taking a little bit of a beating, and it looks like Warriors of Chaos may be able to swing this back in their favour. The one problem here is Wulfric the Wanderer. Every single javelin needs to go into him, and even with that, I don't think the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth has it in him to really win the day. It looks like we are coming down towards the final engagement here, as more and more javelins do start to pepper down Wulfric, but he's still rocking over 9,900 health. I don't think there's any way the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth or the Chaos Sorcerer Lord will be able to kind of turn this around at this point, especially with 100 champions that can simply be popped on the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and he'll be stomped very, very quickly here. Looks like the ammunition is pretty much all spent. We have one volley left on the Horse Masters, and they are going to be charging in here. Dragon Ogre Shaggoth trying to peel away and isolate troops where possible, but the Norscans simply going to stick to that wrecking ball and stack on top of each other. Female Warriors now dealing quite happily with Horse Masters. In comes the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, and he is going to terror out, it looks like, a few troops, which should allow the Horse Masters to hop on them to get some free damage, but Wulfric's going to pop in, and every time he catches that Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, he does immense damage. A boat does come raking down the line as well, doing some damage to the Horse Masters, but again, it's not really meant for that kind of engagement, more used against infantry, but hey, it's free damage, you may as well use it. Looks like the Horse Masters are pretty much spent, getting terrified, and oh no, this poor Chaos Sorcerer Lord has been hit with a Hunter of Champions, lowering his stats considerably, and yeah, Wulfric is just simply going to gobble him up here. You can see his armour is down to just 30 here. His melee defence as well, a mighty 4. And Wulfric managed to do some decent damage. Having more of the Horse Masters have darted in an attempt to save the Lord. Looks like Wulfric as well gets a little distracted here. Perhaps going to allow that Lord to escape. But Wulfric now needs to go toe-to-toe with the big beastie. And it looks like the Familiar Belfiend may be isolated here and assassinated as well. Chaos really scrapping this game out after some early losses coming in. And we may have a Flaming Sword going down as well. But unfortunately, the Dragon Ogre, even imbued by the magic of the fire, does get slain by Wulfric here and goes in a very overdramatic death animation there, which I do love quite a bit. Familiar Belfiend is going to be routing here, but Wulfric should be able to make him rally relatively comfortably. Although actually he does get slain by the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, so no rallying there whatsoever. And let's fast forward a little bit, as it's going to be a little bit of Benny Hill, as the Warriors of Chaos do hunt down the Familiar on the edge of the battlefield, trying to drag that balance power back to the central pocket if possible. But Wulfric is just far too mighty here. I don't think there's any way of Chaos getting back here. Everything can chuck in, they can cycle charge as much as they want, try and hit him from the rear, but another Hunter Champions does come in. And with that, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord is going to be felled here. So very well played to both of the players here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let's go do a tiny bit of analysis. If you enjoyed, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and comment. I do reply to all of my comments. It just takes me a little while to get through to them all. I tend to kind of reply like once or twice a week and kind of do them in big old waves. And if you enjoy Total War Warhammer content, feel free to subscribe. Very well played here to both Papa Palpatine and Zach B. Sane, two OGs of the channel. And a very, very close defeat indeed for the forces of Chaos. Two fun builds, and I like them both quite a lot. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord, much like the Archmage for the High Elves, I am a massive fan of, and Papa Palpatine certainly makes them work very well. Unfortunately for him, the Burning Heads didn't have too many good targets. They did manage to destroy the Marauders and do some damage to the Champions, but the main threat in this build was, of course, the Familiar Warriors, Wulfric and the like, and Burning Head doesn't work so well on them, and because there was no Fireball, he couldn't kind of assassinate models of Familiar as he went along. The Marauder front line isn't something I'm convinced about because it's guaranteed to lose pretty much, as Chaos Marauders do trade very unfavourably up against the Norscan Marauders, who are very slightly better because of their Berserk Rage and the like. But at the same time, it did allow his Chaos Knights to do that lovely cycle charging in the front line to try and break down those Marauders. So perhaps that was the thinking behind the idea. Unfortunately for them, the Familiar Warriors were there to say hello and kind of beat them back. Lovely skirmish play as well. It's really hard to skirmish with Warriors of Chaos. He did a fantastic job bringing it back rather close. As for Zach B. Sane, really solid build. I love to see the Marauder Ice Wolf Chariots, a unit I barely ever see, and they got pretty decent damage across the board, some good kills as well. Big fan of the Frostbite, and having Marauder Champions mixed in there really allows them to beat back the infantry of the Chaos Warriors. Wulfric, as always, an absolute champ, 113 kills and a true champ of the people. Was the last man standing, but he was relatively comfortable at the end there. Now, as I said during the game, I do think Norsca have a big problem of every game pretty much goes the same way. You can do a defensive box up against a few factions, such as Vampire Counts, where you have kind of javelins in the centre and units kind of boxing around in a bit of an air force. But for the most part of Norscans, what is going to happen is you're going to be quite spread out. You're going to punch your enemy as hard as possible, and then you're going to go into a really tight ball of big monsters and whatever marauders you have left, and you're just going to walk around the battlefield trying to drag down your enemy, which, you know, I think Norsca may be on the cards for a DLC at some point, probably Total War Warhammer 3, which I think is going to be a bit more chaos themed, and of course Norscans fit into that, and hopefully they'll just get a few more, kind of a bit more variety to their style of play. However, I still love playing Norscans, and they are still really good fun. I love the Viking aesthetic as well. I just think they need a little bit of love and maybe one or two more ways of playing, but perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps you guys play Norscans in multiple different styles, and if so, let me know. I'd love to try them out in different ways. Anyway guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.